This is chapter number 5, Working of Institutions. We are discussing the working of institutions. In Indian democracy, the rulers have to follow certain rules and procedures. That means they cannot just act what they think. They have to work with and within certain institutions. So these institutions in Indian democracy, according to the constitution, it is judiciary, executive and legislative. This we have just added because sometimes it is called that media is the chautha stambh or fourth pillar of Indian democracy. But basically we will be talking about the legislative, the executive and judiciary. That is, we'll try to understand the major decisions being taken, how they are being taken and implemented in the country. If there are certain disputes regarding decisions being taken by the government, who is going to resolve it? And the three institutions, legislature, executive and judiciary. Legislature, executive and judiciary, these are the three institutions. What role these institutions play in these decisions? Each institution, that means all these institutions, they together carry on the work of the government. So whenever we are talking about a government, then we are talking about what? We are talking about how these government work. Not only the prime minister would work or a president, but there is a machinery, sarkari machinery, or there is a proper institutional way. So we'll also take an example of working of the national level government. We call them as central government or union government. So whenever we are talking about, or you see in newspaper or anywhere else, central government or union government, we are talking about the national level government or just government of India, GOI, government of India. We'll talk about the states as well. So before we go ahead, because it is going to come many times, Indian democracy, the three main pillars are legislature, executive, judiciary. Sometimes this also is included as a fourth pillar. In legislature, we have the Rajya Sabha, the Lok Sabha, the state assemblies. Here the rules and laws and regulations are being made. Then executive means who are going to execute these laws. President, Prime Minister, the Council of Ministers, they do it. And below them, there are various IAS or you can say civil servants who are going to execute it. And finally, if there is a conflict, judiciary, that is the topmost is Supreme Court, then we have High Court, then we have district level courts, then we have all other courts like session courts, etc., etc. So we'll start with an example. What happened on August 13, 1990? On August 13, 1990, the government of India, they issued an order. We call it as the Office Memorandum, OM. Now there are various government orders, government releases by time to time. But this government order, as you see here, this has a proper, every government order has a proper number, 36012 /31/90, and the date is also given 1990. And it was about 27% reservation for socially and educationally backward classes in civil post and services. Though it seems to be a very normal kind of memorandum, the Joint Secretary, which is an officer in the Department of Personnel and Training in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pension, he signed this office memorandum. But this memorandum was very important because this memorandum, which was issued in 1990, 27% OBC reservation was related to, it was the source of controversy for several years to come. So what happens? What was the reason? The order which we are talking about was a very, very major policy decision. It was saying that 27% of the vacancy in the government post, that is the civil post and services of the government of India, this will be reserved for the SEBC. SEBC means socially and educationally backward classes, SEBC. Now this SEBC is another name for all those people who belong to the castes that are considered backward by the government, backward classes. Now this reservation which we are talking about right now, it was available earlier to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. It was there, 21% and 7%. It was already there. But now the government has introduced 27%. That is around nearing 50% reservation will be for the SC, ST and OBC candidate. That means if in 100 people, 50 will be reserved for SC, ST, OBC. So what will happen to the general candidate, those who doesn't come, they don't come under this category, only 50 seats they have to fight for, though there are 100 seats, but only 50 seats are there to fight for. Now this was the major problem. General candidates who actually wanted job, they are, I'll give you some other ideas also. So there were decision makers. Who are decision makers? See, first of all, it starts with the president of India. He is the head of the state and is the highest formal authority in the country. So when we talk about president, we'll be talking about him in detail. So let us just understand that president of India, he is holding the highest post, head of the state, on highest formal authority in the country. Then comes the prime minister. Prime minister is the head of the government. So government of India headed by prime minister, and he actually exercises all the government powers. So prime minister holds all the major government powers. That is, he will take all the decisions in the cabinet meetings. Then parliament. What is the parliament? This is also the decision makers. The parliament. So this parliament is consisting of majorly two houses. So two houses, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. The prime minister must have the support of the majority of this Lok Sabha members, then only he will be elected. First he has to be elected, and then he will be nominated by the majority who has got the party or the group of party who has attained or who has been elected and who has got majority in the Lok Sabha. Now let us come back again to this problem which we are discussing. The office memorandum, now this was very important. How it started? The government of India appointed a second backward class commission in 1979. So government of India, they just wanted that to know what can be done for backward classes. So they made, you can say, a committee, or headed by the chairperson who was called as BP Mandal. Now that is why this commission is called as Mandal Commission. When he did all the things, like all the committee members, they saw who is socially and educationally backward classes, who comes under it, and they did all the things what they are desired to, and finally they recommended to the government that what needs to be done. So the commission gave its report in 1980, that is the recommendation, Sifarishe. So they gave the recommendation to the government, and they said that 27% of the government jobs should be reserved for the socially and economically backward classes. That are the backward classes, or the backward classes, SEBC we are calling here. Now this report was discussed in the parliament. For several years this report was not implemented, but people were demanding, if several countries, these parties and parliamentarians, they were asking, when the Mandal Commission has given you 27% reservation has to be done for SEBC, please do it. Then came the election, Lok Sabha election. Now here come VP Singh Sahib. VP Singh Sahib, he was the leader of a party, Janata Dal. Now he said in 1989 that if I come to the power, if you vote me or my party, then I am going to implement the Mandal Commission report. Here the thing started. What happened? This is the Mandal Commission we are talking about. He is VP Singh Sahib. He became the Prime Minister of India at one point of time. And here people are burning themselves against the Mandal Commission report. If you see, many people took to this violent protest, etc. So what is the chain of process? What happened? The President of India, in his address to the Parliament, announced the intention of government to implement the Mandal Commission recommendations. So on 6th August 1990, what happened? the Union cabinet took a formal decision to implement the recommendations. The very next day, Prime Minister VP Singh, he was our Prime Minister then. If you see, he is VP Singh. Now, VP Singh the very next day informed the Parliament about this decision through a statement in both the houses of Parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now, this decision of the cabinet was sent to the Department of Personnel and Training, and here the senior officers of the department, they drafted an order in line with the cabinet decision, that is the VP Singh's government decision, and took the minister approval. And once the approval has been taken, an officer which we are talking about, he signed the order on the behalf of the Union government, and the office memorandum number 36012-3190 was born on August 13, 1990. But as I said, there was a problem after this. Some people felt that the existence of inequalities among the people of different castes in India, they necessitated the job reservation, because the SC, STs have already got it, but there are certain people who are living life like them only, but they are not SC and ST classes. So they need to be given reservation. So because of the samajik tana bana of Indian culture or Indian social, you can say panorama, it was required. Some people think that okay, it is required, but some would think that if the reservation of 27% is added upon all the reservation which was already there, then those qualified people, those who actually want to work and they are actually qualified, they will be denied the jobs. So what will happen to these general candidates? They will have to fight for the less number of seats. So there was a problem. There was a conflict. Who resolved the conflict? Who resolved the dispute? Highest court in India is Supreme Court. Then comes the high courts. So many people, they went to this Supreme Court and they filed petitions against this case. They appealed to the Supreme Court and they said that this order is invalid and Supreme Court should look into this matter and stop the implementation. Now Supreme Court, because Supreme Court got various petitions, they combined them and called it as Indira Shawnee and others versus Union of India. That is Government of India against the Indira Shawnee. So this all was called as one. Now there were arguments. 11 judges, they heard this case, and finally in 1992 they declared, Supreme Court of India, they declared that the order has no problem, it is valid, but only the problem is that the government should modify that the backward classes, that is the OBC classes who are in creamy layers, or you can say who are having a good financial and social level, they shouldn't be given this reservation. So this was the case which happened. Now in 1993 there was a change in the office memorandum, and 1993 September 8 a new memorandum was issued with the recommendation and with the changes which were identified or recommended by the Supreme Court of India. So let me take you back. Here we are talking about this one. So here the previous one was this, because of the problems all happened. After that, a new memorandum, office memorandum was initiated and was floated. This has all the changes which were being told by the Supreme Court of India. So this is why we need political institutions. If you see, right from the election of the VP Singh, then his implementation, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, President of India, then the signing of the an IS rank officer, and then finally the problem came and everyone went to the Supreme Court and High Court, etc. So these are the political institutions. That is why we need political institutions. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet are institutions. Please understand, the Prime Minister is not just a man. Prime Minister is an institution. And the Cabinet, when Prime Minister and the Mantri Mandal, his Mantris or the ministers, they are combined, this Prime Minister and the Cabinet, they are institutions that make all important policy decisions. All important policy decisions are being made by Prime Minister and the Cabinet. Then the civil servants, Civil servants working together, they are responsible for taking steps to implement the minister's decision. They are also there because all the ministers, they are elected by the people, but the civil servants, they are having a job. They give UPSC exam, they become IAS, they become IPS, they become IFS, they become IRS, like this. Indian Police Service, Indian Administrative Service, Indian Revenue Service, Indian Forest Service, all these. So these are the people who actually execute the decision being made by the Prime Minister, etc. Then Supreme Court is an institution. Again, it is also an institution where disputes arises between citizens and the government. These are settled here. So we have the need for political institution. Because of this only, all the story which we talked about, Mandal Commission, we have seen in various steps why we need political institutions. So Prime Minister, as I said here, first one, second one, third one, Prime Minister and Cabinet, they are by themselves an institution. Supreme Court solves the disputes, and civil servants, they execute they are responsible for implementing the ministerial decisions. So talking about the Parliament, this is the Parliament of India. That is, this is the Lok Sabha. This is for the complete country, for complete India. Okay. Now here, if you say this is a UP, Uttar Pradesh, it is a state in India. And this is the Legislative Assembly. So this is also like a parliament of a state. Here we have a state for whole country. Here we have a small parliament, you can say a legislative assembly, and it is for the state. Both of them make decisions, laws, rules, regulation, etc. So first of all, why do we need a parliament? Why this parliament? We are talking about in democracies, an assembly of elected representative exercises supreme political authority on behalf of the people. So we have these people. I'll tell you how many numbers are there. These people are elected by us, and they enjoy the supreme power of making decisions, making government, and making all the policy decisions. So in India, such a National Assembly of elected representative is called Parliament. We are talking about this Parliament. So in Parliament, there are two houses. In a Parliament, there are two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Two houses in the Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So in India, this National Assembly of elected representative, as I said, it is called as a parliament. So those people who are elected by a routine, parliamentary, the elections by the government, by the normal people, citizen of India, the MPs, member of parliament, etc., they are being elected. And at the state level, the election is done, then this parliament or mini parliament can be called as legislature. This is Legislative Assembly for the state. Here we have MLAs and here we have MPs. Now Parliament, two houses of Parliament is there. So in our country, Parliament consists of two houses. First is the Rajya Sabha. This is also called as the upper house, though it has nothing to do as upper house. This is also called as Council of States. Council of States. Then we have Lok Sabha. So this is called as House of People, right? And this is the lower house. Well, all the power lies, most of the power lies with Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha is powerful because Lok Sabha, all the members are elected by the Indian people. Rajya Sabha, they are not elected by Indian people. They are elected by the MLAs, member of Legislative Assembly of the state. Rajya Sabha has decided seats. Lok Sabha also has decided seats. So Rajya Sabha, the seats are 238 plus 12. 238 are the seats, and all states, according to their number of seats of this Legislative Assembly, all the quota is defined. That from, say, Maharashtra, these many people will go to Rajya Sabha. And how many people will go to Rajya Sabha and which people will go to Rajya Sabha, it is decided by the number of MLAs there, member of Legislative Assembly of that state. So this Lok Sabha, these 12 members are Anglo-Indian nominated members. Sorry, these 12 members are the nominated members which are very good at their level. That is, he may be a good cricketer, he may be a good singer, etc. So 238 are elected by the MLAs of the respective states, and 12 members, these are nominated by the President of India, who are very good in their fields. Coming to Lok Sabha, 543 members are elected and 2 are Anglo-Indian dominated members. The maximum here is 250. If you see here, 250. The maximum here is 552. Though we have 545 now. We have 545. The maximum possibility is 552. So the total number of members of Rajya Sabha 238 plus 12. Total number of elected members of Lok Sabha is 543 plus 2. So 2 houses of parliament, as we just suggested, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, you can see here also. So let me give you just an idea so that we can go ahead with this one. First of all, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is a difference. Members of Lok Sabha, they are directly elected by the eligible voters. So people elect the members of Lok Sabha, while the Rajya Sabha, let me just take it again. Okay. So Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the difference is citizens of the country who are eligible voters, they elect by voting the members of Lok Sabha. While the members of Rajya Sabha, they are elected by the elected members of State Legislative Assembly, that is the this MLA, member of Legislative Assembly. In a state, there is a Legislative Assembly, or you can say there is a Vidhan Sabha. The members of Vidhan Sabha, they elect the member of Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha, the period of Lok Sabha is 5 years. Now Rajya Sabha, it is a permanent body. 1/3 of its members retire every 2 years. That is, if there are 300 members, 100 will retire, 200 will remain, 100 will come new. The maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 552. Though we have 543 plus 2 right now, but the maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 552. In Rajya Sabha, the maximum members can be 250. It cannot be more than that. It cannot be more than that. We have 238 plus 12 configuration. Money bills can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. It grants the money for running the administration of the country. So Lok Sabha only can have money bill. The Rajya Sabha does not exercise much power over money bills. They can only keep it for 14 days. They can delay it for 14 days. Ultimately, they have to pass it. Then Lok Sabha is more powerful than Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is less powerful than Lok Sabha. If there is a problem, that is, if something is passed in Lok Sabha, it goes to Rajya Sabha. So then what happened? Their combined session is called, and because the number of the majority is always with Lok Sabha, it is highly likely that the bill will be passed. So this is the difference between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So these 2 houses of parliament we are going to discuss in the next discussion also. Till then, thank you so much and take care of yourself.